Good evening. We're starting our story as we enter the period of the 3 weeks. And the Rebbe stresses the fact that the 3 weeks are called 3 weeks and not 21 days, because Chachamenu, our rabbis of blessed memory, wish to go and to give us the instruction that even though for the meantime, for this moment, we still see ourselves, we don't see the Geula yet. The fact of the matter is that this moment we'll be able to have not only the ability to see the Geula, but we'll be able to celebrate the Geula. And as it states in regard to all the fasts, all the fast days, all the fast days that are connected with the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, that they are actually going to be transformed into days of happiness and joy and celebration, Yamim Tevim. And therefore, our rabbis say and call this period of between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, not the 21 days, but the 3 weeks, which actually connotates the third and the eternal Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi V'Anitzchi, that we should have revealed to our eyes immediately now. Tonight we're going to have not one, not two, but because it's the beginning of the 3 weeks, we have 3 stories, Bezrat Hashem. Each one has its own specialty, its own exclusive concept. The first one is a story with the Rebbe himself, and this is a story going back years ago. The Meshamash Bakedesh Rav Chesed Halberstrom. So he was the one that helped serving the Rebbe in his home. One of those. He noticed that every time Friday night by the meal, and this is besides what we know about in regard to the Pesach Seder also, but it was all year round that when the Rebbe received his portion of fish, we're supposed to have Oineg Shabbos, we're supposed to have pleasure on Shabbos, eating fish, eating meat. The Rebbe would take the salt shaker, and he would shake the salt onto the fish in a manner that the Rebbe would empty the entire salt shaker onto the fish. After doing this, the Rebbe commenced in eating his fish, and the Rebbe ate the fish to the last morsel with all the salt. Rav Chesed, the Mashbak, Rav Chesed Halberstrom, saw this repeating itself each week, and he simply had Rahmanas, he had mercy on the Rebbe. How can he allow the Rebbe to go and to eat so much salt? So the next Shabbos, he came up with an idea. His plan was that he's going to go and to fill the salt shaker, but only a small amount of salt. And then when the Rebbe goes with his regular custom to empty the salt shaker, so he only have a small amount of salt on his fish, and he won't have. And the Rebbe seemingly won't have to suffer when he eats his fish. Sounds like a good idea. And this is exactly what he did. Comes Friday night, he puts the salt in the salt shaker, only a little bit, and the Rebbetzin is sitting down for the Friday night meal. The Rebbe receives his fish, and as usual, the Rebbe reaches for the salt shaker, and he empties the salt from the shaker onto his fish. Chesed, Rabbi Halberstrom is very happy. Now the Rebbe won't have to eat so much salt. All of a sudden, the Rebbe turns around to Chesed, the person that is serving in the house, and he says to him, if he could please fill the salt shaker because it's empty. Chesed didn't understand, but he went and he did what the Rebbe asked. He brings the Rebbe the salt shaker, killed. And then, before eating from the fish, the Rebbe takes the salt shaker and empties the entire amount of salt onto the fish. So not only did he not succeed in having the Rebbe eat the fish with less salt, but this Friday night, the Rebbe ate the fish with even more salt than usual. So, l'chaim levrocha. This comes to teach us, among many things, but one of the major instructions that we learn is that we don't have the ability to understand and to find the comprehension of the Rebbe's customs, of what the Rebbe does and what the Rebbe doesn't do. There are things that we know according to Shulchan Aruch. This is what a Jew does, and this is what a Jew doesn't do. But when it comes to the conduct, the behavior, the nitty-gritty concepts that the Rebbe adheres to, there are no intellectual understandings and comprehensions. This is the way the Rebbe does it, and it's not otherwise. Okay, so this was, and therefore also in regard to the Geula, in regard to the redemption, there are many people that come and say that they don't understand what the Rebbe is saying, that the Geula is here, but we don't see it. And if the Geula is here, so why don't we see it? And the Rebbe says that we have to go and we have to make the greatest of efforts to do all we can to bring the Geula, to bring the redemption. This is something that has to be explained, perhaps, but it's going to be clear to us after we are able to see the Geula. This is something that's going to be revealed to us immediately now when the Rebbe reveals himself. But for the meantime, this is what we do because the Rebbe said so, and not otherwise. And this is the way that we continue in our way until finally, immediately now, we have the revelation of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. Another story, and again, we're talking about incredible happenings. Last year, I know this story firsthand because my second cousin told me the story. She was by the Rebbe, and she was actually pregnant. And she asked the Rebbe, she prayed in 770 that the Rebbe should give her a pregnancy and a birth that should be kashura ubin nakil. Everything should be in order, and it should be in the most easiest of ways. Now, obviously, women, pregnant women, everyone prays that everything should be in order and should be easy. But for this second cousin that we're talking about, it was extra special and even more relevant, because with all her pregnancies, she incurred difficulties and challenges that were not regular difficulties and challenges of pregnancy, and therefore, with this pregnancy, at an age that was even older than all the other pregnancies and births, she was worried, and she wanted to have the Rebbe's bracha. So she was in 770 and she prayed. In the same room, together with my second cousin, there was a woman, a girl, and she was also praying. And she was praying with tears in her eyes, just like my second cousin. What was she praying for? She was praying for a shidduch. It was already a lengthy amount of time that she's looking for a match, looking for a shidduch. And for the meantime, it wasn't possible for her to be able to find the bashert that she was looking for. And when they saw each other, so they exchanged stories, the pregnancy and the shidduch stories, and each of them blessed each other and that my second cousin should have an easy and an orderly pregnancy and birth, and that the other woman that was there should have a shidduch and get married this coming year. Fine. They saw each other, a little bit in 770, but then their ways parted. Now, this is a woman who is actually not an Israeli. She lives in the United States. And my second cousin came back home to Eretz Yisrael, to the Holy Land. And Baruch Hashem, my cousin gave birth about a month and a half ago to a healthy and happy baby boy. Baruch Hashem, Mazal Tov. Now, this past Shabbos, she usually never goes Friday. She usually never gets the opportunity to go to shul, and that's because in the to the shul that she specifically went to this past Shabbos in the old city, and we're talking about the shul of the what's it called, the English speakers Chabad Yeshiva shul in the old city. Oh, what's it called? I forgot. Yeah, the Rosh Yeshiva over there is Rabbi Pasternak from Toronto. But for some, there was a reason that she wanted to go there, because she wanted to go there with my family, with my brother and his family that are here for a bar mitzvah. So they went to the shul.
Tamimi Derek.
Tamimi Derek. That's right. Thank you. Yishar Koach Reb Yaakov. The name of the yeshiva is Tamimi Derek. They have an abbreviation over there, but whatever. The fact of the matter is that she made it over there, and there she's sitting, listening to the Kriyas HaTorah. Sitting right next to her, she sees a woman that's familiar. Why isn't she familiar? But she's wearing a sheitel. She looks and she sees the face, and she says, "Hey, aren't you the woman that from 770 that we blessed each other?" So she says, "Yes." So she says, "What are you doing here?" She says, "I just got married last week." Wow. You just got married last week? Yes. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Not only that, but she's now, this Shabbos, she's still in the middle of the Sheva Brachas. Still in the middle of her Sheva Brachas. So my cousin says, "Wow, mazel tov. It's so, I'm so happy to see you in there." And so the woman looks at her, and she sees my cousin with a baby carriage. She's rocking her son, the baby. So she says, "And what's this?" So she said, what do you mean, what's this? You blessed me. This is the baby boy that was born to me. And everything was 100% okay. So here, again, they hugged each other, kissed each other, and they were amazed to see that the same, the same people that gave each other blessings, these are the same people that Hashem brought together to meet in Eretz Yisrael, in the same shul, in the middle of the Sheva Brachas, with the baby at hand. My cousin's baby. She's in the middle of Sheva Brachas. There were no babies yet. Last but not least, and this second story comes, and specifically it gives us the concept of the 3 weeks. The 3 weeks and the 9 days, the days that the Tisha B'Av, the day that the Beis Hamikdash, the 2 Batei Mikdash were destroyed. We know that the second Beis Hamikdash especially was destroyed because of Sinas Chinam, because of baseless hatred between each other, between one Jew and another. And here the Rebbe comes and stresses that when we be all year round, and especially in the 3 weeks, we have to add in our Avos Yisrael, add in our giving of tzedakah, of charity, add in our study of the of halacha, and specifically the laws that pertain to the Beis Hamikdash and the service in the Beis Hamikdash. in order to go and to speed up and to herald in the immediate Geula Hashlema V'Amitis. The last story, it was a story that was just told to me, maybe in the last half hour. There was a woman that was asked to be the spiritual chaperone of a group of women that went to spend time in Europe, in Italy, in Switzerland, and this woman, she's a Chabadnik, she's a Lubavitcher, and during the time that they were there, so she was giving classes. There were women that understood that since she's a Lubavitcher, so they wanted to take the advantage of writing a letter in the Igros Kodesh. So they wrote online to the Rebbe and received incredible answers. But then at the end of their stay in Europe, I don't know, it was like a week, so they took the women shopping. This is most Israeli women, they go to Europe, and to go and to see the sights is one thing, but to go and not to do shopping, that's something that is unheard of. So they took them to a shopping mall in I think in Italy, and they're walking around, and the Lubavitcher woman, she wasn't really interested in buying anything. She was there, in her role of the spiritual chaperone, but she came with all the women, and she's walking around in the shopping mall, looking at this, looking at that. All of a sudden, she hears someone in Hebrew shout to her, "Hey, Chabadnikit, boy hena, boy." And she says, "What? Here in the shopping mall? Who's calling me in Hebrew? And who knows that I'm a Chabadnikit, I'm a Lubavitcher woman?" She raises her eyes and she walks over to a woman. She sees it's one of the women. It's one of the women from the group. So she smiles and she says, "Listen, I'm very touched, but why did you call me Chabadnikit? Why didn't you call me by my name?" So she said, "Listen, I apologize. I've really felt bad, but I needed you. And I didn't remember not your first name, not your family name. So the only thing that I remembered is that you're the Chabadnikit of the group. So that's why I called you over with the name, and I hope that you don't mind." So she was so moved from the fact that this is her entity. She went for a week to be the spiritual guide in Europe, in Switzerland, in Italy. But what is her true entity? That she's a Lubavitcher Chosid, that she's a Hasidah of the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach. And this is something that, again, comes and tells us the instruction in our daily lives. It's one thing to be a Jew, one thing to be an observant Jew, to adhere to the laws of the Shulchan Aruch, of the Jewish code of law. But it's something that goes and is beyond the call of duty. When we're talking about being a chassid of the Rebbe, and when we're talking about being a chassid of the Rebbe poses it and puts it in very accurate words. You're a chassid of the Rebbe. You're my chassid. So how do you connect with me? And the Rebbe brings it in the Hayom Yom, by going and learning my morim, learning my Hasidic discourses and teachings in general, and by following in my directions, following and observing my personal instructions. And this is what makes the difference between a Chabad Chosid and an observant Jew from the line. This is what connects us with the Rebbe, and this is also the way that we have the opportunity and the schus, the merit, to connect other Jews to the Rebbe, to learn the teachings of the Rebbe with another Jew, and to go and to teach other Jews the instructions that the Rebbe has given us. And first and foremost, as we mentioned in all the stories, the bringing and the revealing and of the Geula Shlema V'Amitis, the true and the complete redemption, and the Rebbe Shlita Melech Ha'Moshiach and this should all be with simcha and tuv levav, with happiness and joy, and we should have it immediately now. Teichef umyad, with the transformation of these days as we enter the 3 weeks. These days, as the Navi, as the prophet tells us, these days, and also brought in halacha in the Sefer Hayad HaChazaka, Maimonides brings, Osidim yomim elu lishapech, these days shall be transformed liyomim tevim ulemoyadim uliyomim tevim, to festive days and days of happiness and joy. They should be transformed in teichef umiyad, mamish, immediately now. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu Melech Ha'Moshiach Chai v'Kayom le'olam voed. Amen.